ufake le t-shirt again. I like this t-shirt. Please show us.
Yeah.
Is it for sale? Is it on sale now?
No, I printed only this one just for myself.
Hi, Bo.
Wait, let me tell you about this. This is 58. This is 48. You would
Hmm.
say these are just numbers. So my father was born in 1948, and then my mom was born in 1958.
Ah,
So
okay.
that is what those 58 and 48 are for.
Okay. Any mathematical genius puzzle?
Within? No,
Yeah.
no, no, not really. Not really.
Or there's no solving X, what, somewhere
No,
when you're trying to confuse
just
us.
shapes and figures.
Ah, okay. Okay, Putwam, welcome to the podcast. And thank you so much for coming back. We have like one of the most promising up and coming South Africans. Exciting. But when for those who don't know who you are, how would you like introduce yourself?
Awonke Nqayiya, from
Uh-huh.
South Africa in a province called Eastern Cape,
Mm-hmm.
in a rural area within Eastern Cape. It's a very big rural area. So I come from Centane, then I did my primary, junior, all the way to high school in Centane in public schools, basically.
Mm.
Primary was at Seku, within my village. It was just a walk away. And
Yeah.
I guess that's where I started to see like, I'm enjoying this thing called mathematics.
So anyone who knows you like from social media will know you as the maths guy, right?
Yeah,
Top 200 young South Africans, you were named by Mail and Guardian.
your research. Yeah, it's one of the awards that I received.
It's not only the Mail and Guardian, top 200.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well,
Even
top
see,
200 young South Africans by Mail and
and
Guardian.
Guardian, then
Top
top
10,
10 by
yeah,
Julia and Chamber.
yes, top 10 outstanding young South Africans,
Yes. So
right?
yeah, many of them. So I'm
There's too
saying,
many of them. You get them.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding. So, well,
And you
both,
went on now to write this very successful maths study guide for grade 11 and 12. Very successful. I mean, that's where I found you online. And you're only 28. And you are a guy from these rural areas like Kucentane.
yes.
How does it all come about? So you born in Kucentane and you go to public schools. At what stage do you realize now, I'm smart, I'm probably smarter than some of my teachers?
No, I never got to that point.
You never been that cocky.
No, no. Uh,
Yeah.
at first, it was maths, and then I started enjoying maths, and then that tended to spread now into other learning areas,
Mm,
especially in high school, like physical sciences, lab sciences, and all other learning areas. But I think
mm,
I started seeing it in mathematics, and that was in primary when I was at Seku. I was being taught maths by the late Mr. Nqayiya.
mm.
Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. He just had this ability to make something so exciting and much, much simpler. I was basically born with this form of love, basically,
Mm,
towards mathematics. And then I just had to discover it within primary. And, along the journey, I
mm.
then met these amazing mathematics teachers that got to nurture this love and make it something that is far far greater, something that would basically push me toward opening a mathematics textbook even if I'm at home.
Mm. So for you, like maths and numbers, could you say they just seem like words, if
Yeah,
you can describe it?
mathematics as a whole, it language.
You keep saying that, like mathematics is the whole language. But for me, when you say, like I did say to you the last time, when you say X is equal to Y and then solve X, to me, it's kind of like you're not speaking. It's like, eh?
It's a language like, uh, well, these are not symbols, they are figures, but they are figures and shapes. But in maths, there are notations and symbols that can be used to form the entire sentence. For example, in English, there is a phrase called "there exists." In any house, you can say "there exists." Or
Mm.
in mathematics, there's an entire notation symbol just for "there exists."
Yeah.
Say in English, there's something called element of. That's a phrase. You can
Yeah.
write it down and be like, oh, element of, and anyone can be able to read it. Element of.
Mm.
Mathematics, there's a notation
That says
indicated
an element of.
element of any maths person knows that if there's this symbol or notation, it simply means element of, and then of whatever comes after that symbol of
Mm.
real numbers or whatever. So
Yeah.
I can say something like there exists an odd number as an element of real numbers, and I can write that in mathematics
Hey, hey.
symbols. Well, I didn't spend much time with my peers when I was growing up.
Because other kids are just like they want to go out and play, and you want to sit down and do maths after school.
Yeah, but was that one that I always wanted to sit at words, even at home. I still do it now. I would spend a lot of time in my room,
Mm.
with books on top of the desk. Some are laid out on top of the bed, and you know, doing maths right through. They would wonder, what is it doing there? And then my father would be like, I uyafunda pha. I'm like, oh, yes, wena tata ndithethelele.
But where does the idea of writing a study guide come from?
During high school,
Mm.
a mathematics teacher, Mr. Ngolo, was the principal at that time of the school at Gobe Commercial,
Mm.
could identify that, oh, okay, this one is a little bit good in mathematics. He would then encourage us to have the peer-to-peer engagement, basically, whereby we assist within the classroom. He would assign us to particular groups.
Ah.
So that exposed me to several things. One, it gave me the opportunity to understand more of mathematics.
By
Also,
teaching, you got to
yeah,
understand more. Mm.
more of mathematics. But most importantly, uh, to learn the art and the ability to share that mathematics with others. Then in that process, I got to understand that I got to be exposed to the fact that people are, well, there are students that are struggling with, well, there are learners that are struggling with mathematics.
Mm.
And now, most importantly, it exposed me to the reasons why they're struggling to struggling with mathematics.
What were
So,
some of the reasons that you found? Why are people struggling with maths?
that's
Maybe you
when I
can diagnose me also, and we can find out what is my problem. Because I'm
so
waiting. Yeah, this is like the exciting part.
so yeah, that's when go through that constant exposure to analyze a lot of things. Okay, they are these struggles. What are the causes? Okay, here are the causes. Okay, these causes, so and so and so and so. Then what can I do? In the classes that I was facilitating, I would come uh, and I say, okay, we'll be doing trigonometry. And then a learner there at the back is like, oh, trigonometry.
Think the only problem that you said you identified is the attitude of people towards maths.
That's just one, yeah, but there's many.
Can you just name maybe one or two more?
Even the attitude itself has
But even
its
the
own
attitude is, but
causes.
there is a reason why there's this
Yeah,
attitude.
exactly. Even
So
the
can you just,
attitude
yeah,
itself has its own root
what
cause.
is it? Yeah, what is the what is the reason for this bad attitude towards our people when it comes to mathematics?
It's a lot of them. Some of them are intertwined. One leads to another. Sometimes it's lack of basics.
Lack of basics.
Yeah, that is the major one. Very common. Lack of basics. Each and every chapter in mathematics has its own basics, principles, and concepts.
So if you miss one chapter, you dive in, you might fall behind, which will lead to you having this negative attitude.
Yes, that is true. For example, in algebra, if you don't understand, well, he's solving for x in algebra. It is generally known by everyone that is this thing solving for x.
Mm.
But the principles, the concepts, and the basics that are necessary for
To solve
solving
X.
x, yes, a simplification and factorization. And all other operations within mathematics. How do we add? How do we subtract? How do we multiply? How do we divide? And even at complex stages, how do we add fractions? How do we subtract fractions? How do we divide fractions? How do we multiply fractions?
Mm.
How do we deal with exponent? You know, so those are the principles, concepts, and basics of algebra that are then necessary for solving for x. So if one does not have the understanding of those,
Mm. The basics.
surely they will struggle in solving. In language, it's a major thing. It's a major thing because if you are a Xhosa speaking person, you first have to understand English before you understand mathematics.
Or what is written in this study guide?
Yeah,
Mm.
basically. Uh, Especially if a study well, that's one of the things that I've discovered along the journey. Uh, Study material could be written in these jargons that that rural me
Mm.
Centane would find it a little bit challenging to understand what do you mean by using these jargons, explaining this term. I can't understand this term because I can't understand these jargons. These words are so big. So explanation basically itself, I'm finding it a little bit hard to understand it, which makes
Mm.
it hard for me to understand the concept that you're explaining to me. As a result, I can't understand the entire scenario.
That is sad to feel like that in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's as
So
if it's as if you're talking about me in the UK, where I'm forced to
yeah.
know like what that means.
But sometimes I do touch here and there in Xhosa to make it relatable to the audience, to make it relatable to the learners that I'm speaking with. And
But could it be
being
possible? Could it be possible though to actually like write these study books in Xhosa, Zulu?
there,
Can you Xhosalize the maths?
we would have to go ways that are extreme, find basically ways to explain this thing in Xhosa. I'm not saying can be done. I think it can be done, but it would be such an involving journey. Yeah, we would have to dig so much, but it can be done.
Now you're exposed to the world and you can see what's going on in all, like, in all other countries. Where do you think we sit as South Africans?
Oh, I don't want to say anything that will put me on the bad books of the Department of Basic Education.
I
But
tell us, because you have the insight. Yeah.
When it comes to trying to answer your question and the previous one, perhaps one of the things that Department of Basic Education can do is to improve the study resources that are there. Because that is one of the reasons that inspired the study guide that I've written. One of the things that I've noticed is that, well, the lack of the basics, the concepts and principles, the foundation basically. So one of the things that is happening within the existing study materials is that if the study material is for grade 12, for example, then the author begins writing a particular chapter, let's say analytical geometry. Uh, the author will dive deep into the complexities of analytical geometry within grade 12 and not begin the chapter by emphasizing on the necessary principles and concepts to understand what is to come in grade 12. So then, in that case, learner that is using this study material in grade 12, they will open this chapter, analytical geometry, and they will study or practice what is written, which is what is complex basically with what one can expect to learn within grade 12. But to learn what is in grade 12, one needs an understanding of some principles, concepts, and basics, which are not included in this particular study material, which to some extent makes it a little bit ineffective for this learner that lacks these principles, concepts, and basics.
So it will basically mean nothing.
Yes, they do have this study material, sure. But they need some principles, concepts, and basics, and they're not catered for within the study material. I guess that's one of the things that the Department of Basic Education can do to improve the currently existing study materials. They don't necessarily have to write new ones, but just to add some, because they were written long time ago. It's 2024, and they be updated.
You first need to, you probably need to first update the parliament first.
Understand, no? A grade 12 study material does not have the principles and concepts and basics that were tackled in the previous grade. I understand where that comes from. It's based on the assumption that the learner that is in grade 12 has an understanding of what they have learned in the previous grade. It's a logical assumption.
Yes.
But based on reality, it's not always the case.
So how is your study book different than what do you do in it? Do you go back to basic? Because yours is for grade 11 and grade 12.
Grade 11 and grade 12, yes.
Yeah. So how did you like write yours differently to the ones that the government has?
It's structured in such a way that educators for these principles, concepts, and basics, just to make sure that if we do trigonometry, before we dive deep into the complexity of it, at least let's tackle, whether in summary, a little bit of a detailed summary, principles and concepts, basics, the foundation that is necessary for what is to come. When I enter into a classroom and teach these learners, I enter on an assumption that they know nothing. That
Even
is
me, I can just
always,
go into the class
and
after
you would
20,
come up
20 years.
knowing it.
Eh?
You would come up knowing it. I promise.
But people like yourselves, like young people like yourself, I mean, your passion and your drive is amazing. And how you went on to like publish your very own like study guide, in order to help other young South Africans from rural areas, like where you started. People like yourselves are like gold to South Africa. How open is the door from the Department of Education to listen to people like yourselves?
There are young people that are doing things on their own,
Not in
without
the
the backup.
department.
Yeah, not in, well, those that I know, not in the department, and they are not uh, uh, affiliated with the department, just like myself. So they do a lot of them, and they
Mm,
do a lot of amazing things. One of them is Nkosi.
mm,
I can name a lot. They do a lot of amazing things. A lot of amazing things. They're still young as well.
mm,
I guess my point is that there's a lot of dream within South Africa, and if there could be an eye, spot it and use it uh,
mm.
to the benefit of communities and societies that we come from, and to solve and address the challenges that we find within those communities, and specifically in mathematics, a
Mm.
lot of change.
Yeah, because even like with what you are doing, it's so sad that now there might be other children that can't afford the like this really like help that you can provide for them. You can't reach everyone.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a problem.
there is that. Is that at some point, uh, I chased the Department of Basic Education for, I think, for 2 years or 3 years, immediately after I published the study guide. I really chased it, the department, with the hope that
Mm,
eventually they would adopt basically the study guide as part of the material that they sort of had to send out to schools,
mm,
or part of materials that, as the schools get some money to buy
mm,
study guide, a word come from the Department of Basic Education and sort of say include this study material for mathematics in whatever study
mm.
materials that you
Include
buy.
this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just include this one. My hope was that that will then avail the study guide even to those that
Who can't
do not.
afford it. Yeah.
Yes, I do have the heart as well to give it out to them. Is the printing cost. Uh,
No, definitely.
there are sponsors that I get along the journey. Uh, People that see the heart of the entire franchise,
Mm,
and like, okay, I have this much that can cover for 10 learners.
okay.
Print for them, and then you distribute them. I don't mind which school, which province, which group of learners, and what is the criteria that you have used, but as long as they are needy, and then you
Also,
distribute
someone
the
can
stuff.
get in contact with you and sponsor a child.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
what
the
I'm
and the
saying
study
about.
guide will
Yeah,
be delivered. Okay.
yeah. That, so, the Department of Computing Sciences within Nelson Mandela University as well, in
Mm,
partnership with other entities like Nqayiya. They do buy on the study guide and then distribute. They played a huge role within Mkata and Buitwa and some of the universities, University of Johannesburg, within the Department of Mathematics, Applied Maths.
That's amazing.
I get to visit this school, which is exciting.
Yeah. So you have conquered Eastern Cape. Eastern Cape is yours for now.
No, it does not reach the level that I want. But there are schools basically that I've been working with, particular last year in 2023, and they did really well. They did really, really well.
So when you first got to the school, how was the condition when you first went to the school?
How was the condition?
Yeah, the condition of the kids, like seeing the difference now.
Oh, okay. I will. Okay, I will share. Okay.
Yeah, that's why we are here.
Yeah. There's one particular school that we visited after June. So their mathematics pass rate in grade 12 was at 49. Okay. We had a revision camp there, we conducted it, and then we wrote for trial in September. And then they improved from 49 to 70 something in mathematics in average.
You're in 6 months?
I was like, no, it was not in 6 months. Like they wrote in June and their pass rate was on 49%. And then we had this camp, and then the pass rate in mathematics was on 70 something. I think 72, I'm not sure.
Sure.
And then I was excited. I was like, we're coming back because then, like you could see in their eyes that they're so hungry for this. Before their final, we had 2 camps, visited 2 revision programs. And in one of those programs, we could start on a Friday around 6, and then we end the Saturday morning around 3 a.m.
Yo, maths.
No, there are breaks in between. Come on. Yeah, they could enjoy it. Like they were not complaining. You could see that
they wanted this, yeah.
A hundred for this. And then they wrote their final in November. So from 49 to 70 something in maths, and then in final they achieved 8%.
Cool.
I was like, yeah. It's really beautiful. It is this heartwarming stories keep us going. It really is.
Yeah, it's amazing work you are doing, honestly. And it's just a shame because you will wish that especially like underprivileged children, they could actually like benefit from this, whether they are somewhere a township, a Cape Town, or Ezilalini or a KZN, it can reach everyone. So I don't want to take a lot of time, but for when who's your best mathematician, like up in Mhlabeni, like who's your best one? Role model
I was doing my first year, and I was doing my first year in pure maths, applied mathematics, and computer sciences. In pure maths was this professor called Feltzman. God, where he would lay out mathematics on the board, I was like, yeah. Someone teaches you something, and then when you get home, you're like, I really don't have to go to a textbook. I understand it. I will just go for the fun of it. The way there is one of the things I was fond of him is that his teaching methodologies were in line with the teaching methodologies of the high school teacher I am, Mr. Ngolo. Both of them would come class, clean the board, start from the beginning of the board all the way to the end of it, way laid, much cleaner and well laid out. And you would see it's beautiful. Oh, Mr. Ngolo would come without a textbook. He's just carrying a chalk and a duster. Well,
It's all here.
Yeah, chalk, duster, well, Neswas. But we would clean the board and then we would divide it and start teaching. If he needs an example, and that is when he's going to go just to take an example and put it on the board and then start solving example without referring to how did they solve it in the text. He just took the example.
But he was just one of your role models.
Oh, he is even now.
He's still around.
Yeah, he's still around. He's so proud of the study guide.
Hey, I need to see this. I need to come to one of your classes when I come to South Africa.
Yeah, no, please do. You would.
Let me let you go, Budwam. So now, where can people find the study book?
For now, we do courier. You order from our WhatsApp line, which is 073 426 6012. It's 120, then it stays as 120, regardless of where you are. They can try as well going into the bookshops.
Okay.
But it's not much when it comes to the bookshops, but there are bookshops that have them. Perhaps if you can go to the counter within the bookshops and try to order and at the counters, and then they would be able to order, and then they will eventually contact you when it has arrived, and then they would allow you to then buy it. Otherwise, the journey of breaking into bookstores,
it's another journey on its own.
It's another story for another day.
It's another story getting into bookstores.
It was not an easy one. The study guide is self-published. That is what made it difficult. So you can be an author and then an entity or an organization or establishment publishes it for yourself. Then they have the capacity now to push it into the bookstores. So that's when it can be available. When you as a self-published author, it's a little bit tricky because you are I'm sorry. To some extent, you are nobody, but
no, is that you? Who's a nobody?
Self-published. If you're not a celebrity, of course, if you do self-publishing,
but I'm sure you can rock up now. They'll be sorry. Not yet.
Understand why they can't reach out to bookstores and buy a study guide.
Yeah.
You get it? I do. I'm not blaming any party. I'm just explaining how things are.
I know.
So I don't want bookstores coming for me. No, I'm just explaining how things are.
And people are getting cancelled. Hey.
That's why I was like, I don't want to get on the bad side of the Department of Basic Education.
Yeah, you see when they say you are cancelled. When they say you are cancelled, you're like, hey.
Yeah, I don't want to be like an email of, hey, when make a public announcement and apologize. Thank you so much for having me as well. Thank you for the work that you are doing as well, because a lot of young stars out there, they do amazing things. And they, like a platform where they can be just voice who they are and what they do. And that's what you do. That's where you come in. You give them the platform to voice who they are and what they do best.
Yeah, I mean the work that you are doing, honestly, and to think, but like when I was still at school, and like our attitude towards the maths, especially because we were raised for English and history, and you're like, "Hey, this maths is for maybe certain people." And if only there were people like yourselves when we were starting, I don't think we'll have the same attitude, you know. And you
But
guys are changing lives.
back to attitude. Attitude also the result of the surrounding.
Exactly. Yeah. So when politicians, I mean, like, oh, kuthethwa politics, kuthethwa English. But yeah, so ayikho nje into edibanisa ne-maths.
The math,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So if role models like yourselves now and young people are looking at you, it's like, look at him, he's young, and I can do this. And what you say everyone can love maths, everyone can be good at it. It's the basics, which maybe we did like. So thank you so much. And I really, really hope that people can just buy the study books and I'll see who's on my side. Like grade 11. It's a pity because most of my friends, their children are still young. That's why I was asking you, are you gonna go down now? Even our children, I can just buy it and courier it to the UK as well.
Oh, this is something that I will be doing even if I have gray hair.
Yeah.
I'm not in
So
an office. I won't get a letter like, I would think you can resign now. You can.
hey, but your children will be in trouble, eh?
They will be lucky.
Because like from
They
6
will have
months,
material to use. They will come to me and be like, "Hey, Papa, Papa, I'm going to get their homework." I'm like, where's the static? But
I
I'm not sure how it will turn out to be. Depends on God. I think they will be the kind that won't need my assistance.
yo, hey, we are here. What? No, I'm saying if that is the case, Kaloku, you need to pay attention to the partner because
Oh,
hey, how to solve one by the problem? Do you stay away? Huh? Do you cancel? Do you cancel?
I'm like, it's going down.
Hi, Mara, kuta opposite attracts most.
Yeah.
Kuta opposite attracts. I'm a civil. That's a story for another day.
That's a story for another day.